So if you want to start by just introducing yourself and what you do for Project 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗧 House.
Okay. Hi, my name is Diane Galloway. I'm the president and founder of Project 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗧 House.
Can you tell us what human trafficking is?
Yeah. So human trafficking, simply put, is just a fancy word for slavery. So whatever you know slavery to be, that is what it is. It is a form of modern day enslavement. And so in the United States of America, human trafficking victims looked like me. They were black people, indigenous individuals, but now human trafficking today in 2023 looks like anybody who is a part of a vulnerable population. Is not just relegated just to race. Project 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗧 is a program that exists to spread awareness about human trafficking, restore those who have been affected by it, and prevent it from ever happening again in the lives of anyone. So 𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗧 group is for any woman who has been a victim of human trafficking or somebody that willingly entered the sex trade. And so basically the trauma for both are completely the same. And sometimes you just need to be around a community of people who understand you, where you feel safe to talk about what happened and how you'll recover. And so basically we create and cultivate and curate atmospheres that are safe for women who have experienced this terrible crime. So Project 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗧𝗧 offers a plethora of different services for not just women who've been victimized by human trafficking, but even for girls who are a part of at-risk or vulnerable populations. And so on the prevention side, we say that awareness is the best form of prevention. And so we go around and we teach free human trafficking one-on-one classes, even virtually. If you can't get to one of the locations that we teach, you can just one click away and just watch us. So we offer the free human trafficking one-on-one classes once a month virtually, and so they just go right on our website, click on our event page, and voila, you just sign up, and then you'll automatically get some information back that will give you a link that you can click on when it's time for that specific class. In addition to that, we go into targeted populations and we say, listen, this is what human trafficking looks for, this is why you're vulnerable, and we invest in those communities. And one of those are girls ages from 3rd grade all the way to 12th grade, and so we have about 70 girls in our Young Women's Empowerment Academy. And another thing we do is like 𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗧 group, our residential services, and now our newest project that has been around for just a little while now is our drop-in center, and we know that and call that the Freedom Center. So I'll give you a little bit of history about the Freedom Center. The Freedom Center was birthed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, we were using so many third-party sources because we thought that was the best thing for us at the time. And what we realized during that time that everything just shut down suddenly. There was no more counseling. There was no more community that the women needed. And fortunately, we were blessed with this space. And so on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, the women are allowed to come in. We created a beautiful, safe, and quiet place for them. Well, sometimes it's actually not so quiet, but where they can relax, they can watch television, they can do Zumba, meditation, workforce development. We have a STEAM center where they learn how to make merchandise, so t-shirts, hats, coffee mugs, jewelry, and just it's just a place that's filled with love. And on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, our girls grades 3 through 12, they come here as well. And so we have a mentorship program for them where we call them our empowered girls who will absolutely change the world. And they've written books, they've designed their books, they've made YouTube videos, they've gone through etiquette classes, mindfulness sessions, and a plethora of other things. And so the Freedom Center is really like a safe space for women and girls. And it's a great space. We're running out of space, but it's a great space.
There was something, okay, I didn't write this down, but I thought about it on the website that says the eyes don't see what the brain doesn't know. You want to dive into that a little bit? Okay.
Okay, so I was watching a wonderful TED Talk by a woman named Dr. Kanani Tichin, who is a medical doctor, and she told a story about how she was in a room with a patient, and she actually just thought the patient was a streetwalker, a prostitute, somebody who chose this life. But all of a sudden she realized that the dynamics between that woman and the person accompanying her were like, it made her feel uneasy. So she thought of a way to separate that person. And all of a sudden she found out the person was a victim of human trafficking. Now, for you and I, we may say, well, yippee, you are such a hero. But in that moment, she actually felt like such a failure because she asked herself this one question: how many times have I come across people who could have been in the same situation and I judged them? And so because people don't know what human trafficking is or how to spot it or what it looks like, it's so easy to label it as something that it's not. And so what I realized is that the eyes don't see what the brain doesn't know. And so for us, it is so important to give you the information that you need so that when you start to see things, you'll be able to know and recognize it. I remember I got a Nissan Altima in 2006, and I promise you, as soon as I drove off the lot, I started seeing Nissan Altimas everywhere. So the question is, was it really more Nissan Altimas on the road, or was I just conditioned to see it? And so I think that with education and information and exposure, people will be more conditioned to be able to spot human trafficking. And if they can see it, then hopefully they can say something. If they can say something, then we can save a life. So signs to look out for when somebody could potentially be trafficked, it varies a lot based on the type of human trafficking. But if we want to talk about sex trafficking, individuals who may have unexplainable injuries, people who have a lot of PTSD that seems to go unnoticed, people who have injuries that have not been treated, people who have unfortunately had visit abortion clinics a lot because maybe their trafficker does not allow them to use protection and they get pregnant, but also doesn't want them to conceive a child, to have a child. I would say it's a lot of cognitive and behavioral traits that can be spotted. For instance, let's say you work in the educational system and the child is now experiencing a lack of energy in class or sleeping through class, or they all of a sudden have truancy issues. Those may be red flags. Younger people hanging out with older individuals, multiple social media accounts, unexplainable hotel key cards, like abundance of those. It's a lot of different signs, and it just depends on what type of trafficking. So in the United States, you have two major types. That's labor trafficking and sex trafficking. And so labor trafficking, some of those signs can also be the same. With labor trafficking, maybe it's one person speaking for a large group of people. Maybe that person doesn't know where they are, what city they're in. They also look malnourished, and they look like maybe they haven't gotten sleep in a long time. A lot of people living in one dwelling, and you know that, man, it shouldn't be like 25 people living in this 3-bedroom house. And so it's a lot of different signs. And so that's why we recommend people come to our human trafficking one-on-one class, and so we can break it down. Project 𝗪𝗧𝗛 House got its name because at that time I was living in a city called Thessaloniki, Greece, and I was working with, at that time they were the world's largest anti-trafficking organization called A21. And inside of one of their shelters, I met a woman that completely changed and transformed my life, and her name is Mona, and now she's my friend and my sister. And I remember I was finding just different reasons to complain every single day while I'm living in like this beautiful country. And I talked to Ramona one day and I said, why are you always so happy? Like, I listened to your phone calls, like, you know, her husband was upset that she wasn't there because he thought that, well, they both thought that she was going to get a job in Turkey, but unfortunately, she was forced to work in a brothel. And so I asked Ramona, like, I know like your situation at home isn't the best, but you find some way to like muster up some joy and some strength. And she said, well, Kelly, like, you know, I'm a believer. My faith plays a huge role. And she said these words to me that really resonated with her. And she said that it was a scripture, and it says that for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed in Jesus Christ. And I interpreted that to mean that tomorrow's going to be better than today, and 2 days from now is going to be better than tomorrow. And so I knew that I wanted to open up Project 𝗪𝗧𝗛 House to share her story, and what I think that her story is a story of hope.
Tell me a little bit about those wall of portraits behind you.
So behind me are photos that represent somebody that we have served or we are currently serving in Project 𝗪𝗧𝗛 House. We call it our little victory series because we find that a lot of time people only celebrate what they think are monumental milestones in life. And really, we should get that out of our culture. You'll notice that there are elephants all around the Freedom Center. And the reason why is an old saying, or an old adage rather, that says, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer to that question is one bite at a time. So we choose to share stories where victory came one bite at a time. So it could be one of the pictures behind me where a woman did not have her identification. And so what happens if they don't have identification? They can't get a job. If they can't get a job, they can't earn money. If they can't earn money, then how can they be contributing and functioning members of society? And so we tell stories like that. Hey, somebody got their driver's license today. Somebody finished driving school today. Somebody got custody of their children back today. Or somebody is finally healed and able to look in the mirror. We have one girl that's pictured behind me. She has and it shows her painting, and we have some of her paintings around the center, and her name is Heather. And Heather said that it was at one point in her life where she could not look in the mirror. And after coming through our program and living in Project Mona's house, she was able to look in the mirror again. And when she came in Project Mona's house, we all thought that she was beautiful. But it was when Heather thought that she was beautiful. Because what traffickers do is they try to break you down to the point where you don't even see the beauty in yourself anymore. And so you're constantly dependent on them for validation. But Heather got her power back while living in Project Mona's house. And that's one of my favorite stories. So volunteers are the heartbeat of an organization. And so Project Mona's house wouldn't be as successful as we are without our radical team of abolitionists, AKA volunteers. And so in order to be a volunteer at Project Mona's house, you first have to come to orientation. That's also held once a month. And after orientation, you go through a class with me that I teach you like what human trafficking is in depth. So what is human trafficking, how to spot it, how to stop it, and how we can empower others to join the fight, because you've already made the first step. You're joining the fight. And so how can we get other people to do it?
Okay. So if I can't become a volunteer, how are other ways to help support Project Mona's house?
So I think there are a couple different ways. So I'll highlight 3 different ways that you can support Project Mona's house without actually physically becoming a volunteer. The one thing you can do is subscribe to our newsletters every single week. We send out a newsletter every single week. From there, you can share and forward that newsletter to other people, along with following us on all of our social media. So that might be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We just got a TikTok, and even on LinkedIn. And so you can do that. So participate and join us digitally by sharing our content. The next thing you can do is you can join our Freedom Network. And what that means is you can give as little as $1 a day, and that can really change the trajectory of a woman who's been victimized by human trafficking. It can change her life, or somebody that is a vulnerable population to being human trafficked. But I think the third and final thing is that you can make sure that you are educated on what is human trafficking. Again, the first and the best form of prevention is awareness.
Does Project Mona's house have like a wish list of items if people were to send something?
Yes, so we have a wish list, and we wish that every day was our birthday. The last Saturday of every month is donation day, and sometimes people don't know what to give. So we try to make that easy. You just go right on our website, and we have 2 different types of lists. One list is something that we need every single month. It could be toilet paper, hygiene items, paper products, different things like that. And then we have a wish list of things that are super specific. We may not need it all the time. It could be, hey, we might need another computer or another heat press or some more vinyl, or it could be, a sofa. It could be a lot of different things that we need while we're providing housing and providing safe places for women and girls. For anybody that wants to connect with Project Mona's house, it's super simple. You just go to our website at www.projectmonashouse.com, and that's Monas, M-O-N-A-S, house.com. And guess what? Everything else is just as simple as that. Find us on all social media networks as Project Mona's house, and I'm looking forward to connecting with everybody.